Formula One on ITV, sponsored by Toyota.
He's the 5 times world champion. He's on top of the driver's standings. He won here last year. He set the pace in qualifying 1. Guess who?
Michael Schumacher looking very strong here at Silverstone. Is this going to be the fastest time of the day so far? Yes, it is, comfortably, by a couple of tenths of a second. And after 2 races off the pace, Ferrari and Schumacher are back in business.
A flying start to the weekend for Ferrari's #1, coming up from Silverstone. Qualifying 2, deciding the grid for tomorrow's Foster's British Grand Prix. Hello there, welcome. It's a bit overcast, it is dry, and it's very warm here at Silverstone. Current temperature 24 degrees. The car's just warming up behind me for qualifying 2. McLaren, particularly Williams, have struck back this morning. Kimi Raikkonen quickest in the first session. Juan Pablo Montoya, top man in the second. Mark and Tony are with me now. Tony, Michael Schumacher's only been on pole here once, I believe, and repeating yesterday's success, by no means a formality, really.
I'm not saying he's going to struggle. I think we're in for a great battle. There's only 4 tenths between the top 4, and as you say, Montoya's on top there. Michael Schumacher was 3rd in the final session before temperatures suiting. The Michelin tyres, of course, on the Williams cars. So I think it'd be very, very close indeed.
Michael Schumacher, top man yesterday. They worked really very, very hard on that Ferrari to get it into shape for Silverstone, Tony.
Yes, they've worked so hard, but he said he wasn't surprised by this at all. I mean, they worked at 3 different circuits, at Fiorano, at Barcelona, at Mugello. A lot of new parts, a lot of work, particularly on the tyres. It's paying off now.
He was first on track. He went quickest through the first 2 sectors. His teammate Rubens Barrichello also flew through there, but then tripped up in the drizzle, didn't he?
It's a shame, because he was showing just how good all these developments are working on this high-speed circuit here at Silverstone. Then he got it wrong, a bit of drizzle, he clipped the curb, but he tried to pussyfoot there through the gravel trap. Schumacher was looking on. Schumacher did exactly the same thing this morning, gave it the boot and came out the other side unscathed.
Mark, the top 8 covered by less than a second, and a bit of confidence, bit of optimism from Juan Pablo Montoya in the Williams.
And Montoya's got the bit between his teeth, hasn't he? He's looked inspirational all weekend long. You can see him, he's really driving the car to his utmost. Looks like they've got a nice balance in there. And I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with come qualifying this afternoon. But I don't know, I'm still a little bit between what the Michelins are going to do in these weather conditions and how much Bridgestone have really caught up on the Ferrari.
You don't think then, because it's dry, it'll suit the Michelins?
Well, I think Bridgestone have come on strong. I think they've done a lot of development and you're going to see some change.
Yeah, you know what it's like to be a British driver round here, Mark, and we got 4 of them today.
Yeah, Brits, I mean, it's a home race for them. You walk through and you just get a pump up. It's a big boost. DC, a little bit of pressure on his shoulders at this point in time. Everybody's saying, like, you know, can he qualify on a 1-lap special? He's put himself in that pack there to give him a good opportunity to go for it. Button, very strong outing again. Second quickest Bridgestone guy. Barrichello not making the cut there with that spin. But at the same point, I think there's still a lot to come from him. The other guys in the pack there, Ralph Thurman for me, he was driving yesterday. I spoke to him last night. He said doesn't feel comfortable with the car, not got the confidence there with it yet, and the car didn't look exactly right on the race circuit for sure. Justin Wilson, I mean, you got to put, you know, tears come in your eyes for this guy here. He's put everything into it, turns up for his first home Grand Prix, only gets a lap into one qualifying lap and the car packs up, and it seemed like an ignition switch or something wasn't turned on properly.
Sure, a bit embarrassing for Justin Wilson. It means he'll be first out in the upcoming session. Let's hear the driver's reaction, though, to that first session. We're going to start with Michael Schumacher, already looking ominously confident.
I'm doing a reasonably consistent job so far, and we definitely have worked very hard last week, and that sort of paid off.
I was going into turn one. I said, if I go too fast and I understeer, it'll be bad. And I could have gone a bit quicker through sector one. But the rest of the lap was really good. I think the team did a really good job. It's been quite often I've been quicker than Ralph on Friday, so it's good to keep that form up.
Because of the weather conditions, we estimated a bit on the setup, and we found it was quite okay.
The car liked the high-speed circuit, and in this moment sometimes we are a little bit we have some difficulty on the low-speed circuit. Here is very high-speed circuit, and I love this circuit.
A little bit too cautious first sector. Wasn't too sure about the conditions because it was spinning whilst we were recovering Rubens's car. In the end, the conditions were fine, so there's a little bit more to play. But I think we're in the right section.
We've got new bodywork on the car, the engine cover, so it makes quite a big difference, I think, and the side pods. So we've just got to hopefully make progress tomorrow, because we're a little bit behind what we'd hoped for, I think.
To remind you, 10 races gone, 6 to go. It's the gang of 4 in contention for the driver's title. Michael Schumacher's 4 wins, giving him an 8-point advantage over Kimi Räikkönen. Ralf Schumacher has scored 28 out of 30 in the last 3 races. Juan Pablo Montoya on 47. Barrichello on 39, with Alonso 10 ahead of Coulthard. Trulli 8 on 13. Meantime, in the constructors, Ferrari also lead, but only just. Williams 65 points from the last 4 races, just 3 behind. Clean air between them and McLaren. Renault, impressive here so far, are 4th. Then BAR, Jaguar, Jordan, Sauber and Toyota. It really is a pivotal weekend, this, for Williams, on a track which they feel doesn't suit them. They are the team on the move. Back-to-back 1-2s for Ralf Schumacher and Montoya. A long-term engine deal with BMW and a very lucrative new sponsorship with Budweiser, bringing them to Silverstone bubbling with confidence.
With Williams' recent success has come an escalation of the rivalry between their 2 drivers. The car is now just as competitive as the men who drive it. Ralf Schumacher's win at the last race in France came at the expense of his teammate, who felt he got a raw deal in the pit stop pecking order.
I was a bit off because I nearly had him out of the pits. It was very difficult to really try to overtake in the race. Especially, when you're fighting with somebody else, maybe you get a bit of power advantage, or you got something different. When both cars equally match, it's nearly impossible.
Are we entering now a Williams stage of supremacy?
I hope that's an ongoing till the end of the season at least. What the team did is great, and still working on is really promising. So we should be a strong contender, Ferrari, till the end of the season.
Some races are going to be easier to win than others. I think this one to win is going to be a lot harder. Not like Magny Course. Magny Course we dominated completely. But, we are definitely heading the right direction, and things are going pretty well.
Juan Pablo felt he wasn't getting all the help he needed at the track, so Williams have beefed up his engineering team. He's been assigned the experienced Frank Durney here on the right, while Tim Preston on the left is the opposite number on Ralph's car. They'll both need all the help they can get, because here at Silverstone this weekend, Ferrari are on a mission.
For the last couple of months, we've concentrated on improving the car for high downforce circuits. And Silverstone is a high downforce circuit, so it's the first time that you've seen the modifications. The guys at Ferrari have responded very well, and it's been a very good step.
We have been very strong here during the test, so with the addition improvements, we are where we expected to be.
It's a real contrast to Williams. It's been a tough year for their former driver. He's still the British #1. David Coulthard, twice a Silverstone winner, currently though off the pace in the title race. He's been talking to Louise Goodman.
Podiums have been a bit few and far between so far this season, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Australia was the last time I was on the podium, but I think it's possible this weekend. Car's been reasonably competitive through Friday practice. Obviously, qualifying is going to be key as always, and then it comes down to strategy.
So you're pretty upbeat?
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying the way the car's driven so far. We went quite aggressive on the setup, and it's normally an understeering circuit. and you know, a bit as we did in Magny-Cours, really, we were quite aggressive the way we started, and it seems to be working out.
McLaren were very strong at the start of the year. You had a very competitive package. Teams like Williams seem to have come to the fore at the last couple of races. Do you think that's them coming forwards, or have you stalled?
Well, certainly Williams have won the last 2 races, but if you look in Nürburgring, Kimi had pole and he was leading. So the end result is what people look at, but the reality is McLaren looked like it was a race winner on that track.
So you think it's as close as ever at the top?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been pretty close in a lot of the races. You know, really, Ferrari should have been the third team in Magny-Cours behind ourselves, and you know, obviously we tripped up over the pit stops, so they managed to get on the podium. But otherwise, I think it's really been sort of moving around between those top 3 teams.
What's it like when you're driving around here, though? I mean, for you and all the other British drivers, seeing all the flags waving and that kind of thing, is it sort of heartwarming?
Yeah, it is great. You know, outside the garage, you look over at the grandstands, and there's a lot of British flags there, and a lot of people blowing horns and waving in a way that they would normally do for a Michael in Germany or something like that. So yeah, it really does make a difference. So I know and appreciate the effort that people make to come to a Grand Prix, and you know, it's a big weekend for them as well as for us.
Tony, Bernie Eccleston saying he should wave goodbye to McLaren because he's in a comfort zone.
Yeah, Bernie went on further and said he was in danger of becoming a Tin Henman, almost a nearly man. And David Coulthard replied quite rightly, he should watch the bigger picture and mind his own business. But Bernie does that. He does also suggest drivers should move to other places. He's trying to help Villeneuve at the moment with Ferrari, for example, although he's got no chance.
Pressure on him today?
A lot of pressure on him. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that DC needs to deliver a little bit more. You know, he's like the modern day Sterling Moss. He's one of the best drivers in the world, but he just doesn't cut it to get the World Championship. But he's got all the makings there. Whether he's going to do it with McLaren, that's another question.
Okay, thanks both. Well, while the Silverstone circuit has its critics, the racetrack itself is an excellent facility. Just over 3 miles round. The fastest average speed, very close to 140 miles an hour. Some seriously quick corners then before the more technical final section. To succeed here, the drivers have to handle every different kind of challenge. Let's join 2 Silverstone gurus, Mark and Martin Brundle.
The first corner cops, and it's a big wake-up call already, very early in the lap. My first Grand Prix experience was at the age of 7, standing on that bank over there, watching Stewart and Clark, and what a wonderful feeling that was. But on the racetrack itself, it's something else, Mark.
This is an awesome corner. It's 195 miles an hour down the pit straight, turning hard. Visibility just gets dropped off, but you soon refocus again, you're already on the exit.
Absolutely, never less than 160 miles an hour. Great feeling when you get it right, heading off down to Beckett's.
At 185 miles an hour, now launch the car into the first right, swing it left. The final right-hander comes up immediately, nips on the exit, slightly off camber, feeding into Chapel Curve, onto the hanger straight.
Stowe Corner is going to look very different to the drivers this year. As they head into it about 195 miles an hour down Hanger Straight, the visual references have all changed. The old and very high grandstands have just been taken away, and therefore when they choose their braking and turn-in points, it'll have a different feel to it. Michael Schumacher broke his leg here in '99, bouncing across the gravel trap. That shouldn't happen anymore. There's a big tarmac apron to save them now. But the corner itself, Mark, is still very fast.
It's mighty quick, it's tighter than what you think. 100 miles an hour minimum at apex speed, into 4th gear. Traction control still working, but the big thing here, get it right, and you've got to run up on somebody into Val, overtaking opportunity.
Because you're coming down from 170 miles an hour to just 55, turn in extra early to anticipate the understeer, cautious on the way into club, then let the car feed gently to the outside.
Abbey Chicane, a real car test. It's got absolutely everything. We're going to find out if the Ferrari's better than the Williams or the Bridgestones are better than the Michelins in this kind of corner. Arrive at about 175 miles an hour, an uphill braking zone, down 5 gears, and quite a tight turn-in.
Then the guys are going to contend with this, Martin. Look at these curbs here. You've also got bumps in the middle of Abbey itself. You need a car that's got great change of direction. They're going to accelerate downhill towards Bridge. That's the beauty of Silverstone for me. You've got the high-speed stuff, then you're faced with the slow speed. It's got everything.
Absolutely.
Now watch this. Good traction then out of Abbey Chicane. Here comes Bridge, 150 miles an hour. Not a hint of a lift of the throttle, and you're still accelerating. Now down to 105 for Priory, up to 140, down to 60 for Brooklands. Once again, the front of the car will slide. Luffield, a long double right-hander. A little bit frustrating in the early part. Straighten the car up. Now you catapult out of the corner. Incredible acceleration through Woodcote, over the start-finish line. Montoya showing exactly how it's done.
Now we're going to do our best to simplify the Great Silverstone debate. Silverstone's in the second phase of a massive revamp, but will the changes be enough? There is still the threat we won't have a British Grand Prix here next year. Ted Kravitz reporting.
We British invented motorsport, and Silverstone's been hosting races for over 50 years, so it's inevitable that the place will show a bit of age. And like much in the UK, its infrastructure had been ignored. Punters had to endure nightmare traffic jams, and the washout that was the 2000 race pushed Silverstone to the edge of extinction.
You go back to the 1950s and read the accounts of the Grand Prix, and everybody complained about 3 or 4 hours it took to get in. Everyone knew the problem was there. It wasn't until we threatened to take the race off the calendar a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, that suddenly everything started to move and we ended up with these very good access roads.
As with everything, it took lots of money, so in came $20 million each from Bernie Ecclestone, who owns the rights, the British Racing Drivers Club, who own the track, and Brands Hatch Circuits, who promote and operate the Grand Prix. So all in, $60 million. It's been used on new signage, shiny toilets and bigger grandstands. But it's still 200 quid for the best seats. That's the same as a season ticket to most third division clubs.
Well, this is where most of the money has been spent, on the road access and on the infrastructure. And pride of place in that is the new Silverstone Command Centre. Cost about £750,000.
From this building, the local police look after the roads and the crowds. The authorities are under as much scrutiny as everyone else here at Silverstone.
We've got all the major players from the emergency services together. We're able to coordinate and communicate much better, so the decision-making process is enhanced. We've got a purpose-built facility here, perhaps unique in terms of sporting events, and as such I think it sets the standards for the future.
Facilities for the fans are clearly better than in previous years, but there's still a long way to go. The master plan is far from complete.
So what's left to do then is to pull down these old, slightly shabby garages and build a brand new pit complex and state-of-the-art race control. But it's going to take an awful lot of time, effort and money.
We have funds left remaining in our original plans which will significantly improve the existing facilities. But wouldn't it be great if we could build something fantastic? And I think we all want the same thing.
And I think what we need is to better say it's the best circuit in the world rather than have an argument about whether or not it's the worst.
We'd like Silverstone to be a circuit of which we can all be proud. And that is, I think, everybody's shared objective.
It's just not good enough, and somebody has to say it's not good enough, and Bernie has been saying that, and I can only agree with him.
So Jackie Stewart, the president of the BRDC, the British Racing Drivers Club, joins us now. You own this place, Jackie. You've got some powerful opponents there, Max Mosley and Bernie Ecclestone. How big is the threat to this race?
I think it's a very real threat. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But we have to find the funds in order to do the work that is required to create the infrastructure and the buildings required. The main trouble is that the funds within the World Championship of Formula One mainly go in one direction and there's no money coming back out. That means there's no profit for anybody other than the direction of the commercial rights holder. So there's no money actually to do that. At Silverstone so far, all of the other racetracks that we're competing against in the rest of the world, most of those are government funded. We haven't yet got into that position, although I must say the government have been more than helpful. They gave 16 million last week to confirm the infrastructure of some of the grassroots racing and some of the industry. But Silverstone we're still working on, and I think we'll get the money between government, between FOM, between IPG, that's the Octagon company, and also the British Racing Drivers Club. We all want to make it happen, but it won't happen from any one source. It'll happen proportionally as to who are the greatest benefactors.
Bernie Ecclestone is a big critic of this place. Do you feel long term he wants to buy it and be the saviour?
Well, I don't know about that. He's never actually come out and said that. But the British Racing Drivers Club, in fact, owns the 850 acres here. It is ring-fenced. It can't be sold because, of course, this club's been going for 75 years. And we have developed it all the way along. The club spent 25 million over the last 5 years or so. We have a whacking big overdraft currently. So therefore we couldn't find the independent money to do that, or even go to a bank and get the loan, because the revenues coming from it would not be large enough to service that, or the in fact investment. But I think with the government's help, and the sports minister's already said very loudly the other day that government is going to put their money where their mouth is.
They haven't done yet, though, have they?
No, they haven't. And we're even going to meetings in this next week. And I'm very hopeful with Bernie, with the government, with EMDA, the Regional Development Agency, who's been allocated the job by government, and with IPG and ourselves, we can find a solution for this. I don't think this British Grand Prix can possibly be lost. It's too important for everybody.
How much time are they going to give you to build this place into the world-class facility that we all want?
Really, it's a question of money. If we get the right source of money and it's done in the right fashion, I think it can be done very quickly. It's certainly a 2-year job. But of course, many other racetracks in the world have still got an awful lot to do. This is not the only one. I mean, Spa-Francorchamps, there's several. Brazil's in an awful mess, much worse than here. Our racetrack is one of the very, very best in the world, and every racing driver will tell you. It's the infrastructure to service new grandstands, new facilities, as well as new garages and new administrational buildings and all media centres.
OK, Jackie, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
Bit of a leap here now. You ever tried lawnmower racing? You ever wonder what Michael Schumacher's like at cricket? Probably not. Ducking and diving, though, around the Silverstone showers, Beverly Turner can enlighten us all.
They say mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. Well, only at Silverstone would those mad Englishmen go out in weather like this for a spot of lawnmower racing. It's all completely normal, apparently. Well, Jensen, this is just part of your build-up to Silverstone. Was this your idea of fun this morning?
It's great, isn't it?
It's fantastic in the rain. Now, what do you think of these machines? I've been checking them out. They look quite lethal.
They look very fast, don't they?
Have
not very aerodynamic.
Not really. You're looking forward to having a go?
Yeah, I am actually, yeah.
Now, we're bringing in Ted, because he's going to be your main rival today.
Oh, come on.
You're in trouble, Button.
Any tips for him?
Watch the throttle. I've heard they're a bit potent. Where's the throttle?
That's the forward reverse. That's the throttle square.
Mad dogs and Englishmen go out to the
Jensen, congratulations. You took it quite convincingly there. I think it was our first corner. It was the first corner.
He was on the inside. It's quicker than that.
You killed the gnomes, Ted. You killed the gnomes. You've destroyed the track. They've got to rebuild it now.
Well, I had to try something. I mean, not only has he got the weight advantage, which I don't know if you're calling me a fat bloke, but well, there I go. I had to try something, and it didn't work at the end, but now I know how you feel.
Shake on it, guys.
Well done.
Okay.
Get him involved as well.
Mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun.
Well, the British Grand Prix attracts lots of our sporting heroes, and we've got 3 cricketers with me now. I just saw Michael having a go with that bat. He was all right, wasn't he, Alex?
No, he looks a natural, to be honest. Timing the ball very well, played nice and straight, so when he gives up driving, he can come and have a game with us.
James, what are you making of all this? Because this time last year, you probably couldn't have expected to be here on such a big weekend.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, to come somewhere like this and meet someone like Michael is just incredible for me.
What did you think of him? He's quite small, isn't he?
He's a lot smaller than I expected.
Michael, are you actually a Formula 1 fan?
I've watched a lot of it on the television, and you look around here and you see the amount of effort that goes in behind the scenes. It's obviously a huge sport with a hell of a lot of teamwork involved.
And how do you fancy your chances as Formula 1 drivers? How do you reckon you'd all do?
I think we'd be sensational. I mean, we can say that because we'll never have the chance, but And I think we could probably take on the world's best and come a distant last.
We'll settle for something sensational in the test against the South Africans next week. A reminder, we want you to keep in touch with us all. A reminder, you can email the studio as well, itv-f1.com. Text us if you prefer, 86188-F1, followed by your message, or via the ITV F1 website, itv.com/F1. Wednesday at lunchtime, you can chat live with Renault's Alan McNish, and Tony is your man this week for Ask the Team. And now your last chance to join us for race day tomorrow. 2 winners will helicopter into Silverstone, go behind the scenes at Williams, meet Juan Pablo Montoya and take away an autographed race suit. You will both be very well cared for, believe me. And here is Juan Pablo with the all-important question.
Hi, I'm Juan Pablo Montoya. If you want to meet me this Sunday, please answer the next question. Where am I from? A, Argentina, B, Brazil, C, Colombia. Thanks.
Thank you, Juan Pablo. Is he an Argentine, a Brazilian or a Colombian? Is he from Argentina, Brazil or Colombia? You can only enter by phone or text. The phone number 09065 899 199. 09065 899 199. Text GP, A, B or C to 84188. And this FedEx competition closes in an hour's time, 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're all set then. Qualifying 2 for tomorrow's Foster's British Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher, quickest yesterday, will be last to go. First on track, there he is, Minardi's British rookie Justin Wilson, and he's having a very respectable debut season. Let's join Martin Brundle and first of all say good afternoon to James Allen.